Hey everyone, I'm the UndershirtMan. Today, we're going over various strategies to both completely avoid and effectively recover from blue shells in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. My goal is for players of all skill levels to feel prepared to properly handle any blue shell situation in versus and online races. Everything discussed is possible in every racing class unless otherwise specified. Please enjoy the video. First, we'll go over methods to dodge blue shells. We'll start with a tip for dodging blue shells when you aren't in first place, unlike the other strategies that'll be discussed. You can be hit by a blue shell when it travels along the ground as it heads toward first place. Blue shells usually take the middle of a road as they travel. Try staying to one side of a path, as it's typically the safest option. The Super Horn is an item which is specifically meant to counter blue shells, among its other uses. It sends out shockwaves that hit players, stun or kill enemies, and destroy any offensive items within range. The shockwaves last for quite some time, meaning the horn can protect you from multiple items and hazards upon activation. Therefore, you can use the Super Horn around a second or so before a blue shell reaches you and still be able to take it out. Additionally, you can use the Super Horn to destroy a blue shell at any point throughout its path of travel. For example, if you're playing together with a friend online, they can help you if you're in first place by breaking a blue shell with a Super Horn before it reaches you. Despite the Super Horn's immense utility in various situations, its appearance rate makes it too uncommon to rely on. For this reason, it's usually not the best idea to throw away your items before another item box to try and get a Super Horn. You can hit an item or a track hazard to be completely unaffected by anything else for a short time afterward, including a blue shell. Getting hit by an item will give you about a second and a half of invulnerability. Hitting course hazards like oil slicks or fire bars will give you slightly less invulnerability time to work with. In other words, make sure to get hit by something right before a blue shell attacks you, or you may be hit by the blue shell too. However, be aware that many obstacles can sometimes be stunned or lifted into the air by blue shells, rendering them useless since you'll be unable to get hit by them. Preferably, you should try to hit yourself with something that doesn't reduce your speed as much, like banana peels or course hazards like the cows on Moo Moo Meadows. Bananas work well since they're the most common items in first place other than coins. As long as you time the preceding hit well enough, you should be able to completely avoid taking damage from blue shell explosions. Mushrooms and golden mushrooms can also be used to escape the blast radius of blue shells. You'll have to bring a mushroom from another position to do this though, since you can't get any mushroom items in first. Learning the behavior of blue shells is the key to mastering this technique. Here's the animation of a blue shell circling around a player. The best visual indicator that signals the appropriate time to use a mushroom is when the blue shell angles itself downward and shows its spiky side to the player right before it strikes, as shown here. Use a mushroom now to successfully boost in front of the blast radius. You only have a window of a few frames to pull off this move, making it a tough trick to get used to at first. Additionally, you can use mushrooms that are circling around another player from a triple mushroom or crazy 8 item to evade blue shells. However, a circumstance where this will be possible is very rare. Falling off the course can be done to avoid a blue shell, but timing is key. With poor execution, you'll take the hit from the blue shell and also have to wait to be taken back on the track. However, falling off to dodge blue shells is only worth it if you know that you'll be taken to a position in front of where you initially drove off the course. One example of this is when driving off next to the glider ramp on Dolphin Shoals. There are a couple of potential extra perks when falling off the track though. There's the rare chance that you can evade a lightning strike, and you have the ability to save an item that you're holding out behind you. Blue shells normally break any trailing items upon impact, but not when you drive off the course. Even with these potential perks to using this strategy, keep in mind that falling off to avoid blue shells doesn't usually save time. Slowing down when in first place to give the blue shell to another player is a tactic that many racers use online. This is able to be abused since blue shells don't pick a target to lock onto until they're pretty close to the first place racer. Getting behind another player around a second or two before the blue shell warning icon pops up is usually just early enough to make it target someone else. Then, once you know it's locked onto another player, you can safely get back to first place. For this strategy, try using the map to see blue shells in order to gauge the right time to slow down and pass them off to other racers. Blue shells have set paths on each course that they travel to reach first place. For example, on Yoshi Valley, a blue shell will always take this particular path to reach first place unless it's thrown from a road it doesn't usually travel on. Therefore, you might get lucky enough to avoid the blue shell if you are on a right side path while it's on the left. Afterward, on the map it may look like the blue shell is going to come back after it laps around, but it'll despawn before it can successfully reach you. An important notice before moving forward. The next few strategies to dodge blue shells are useful, but are much less practical. These methods either require bringing rarer items into first place, having a high amount of luck, or playing in 200cc to be accomplished. With that out of the way, let's continue. A bullet bill, star, or boo can be used to dodge blue shells thanks to the temporary invincibility they provide. However, it's pretty difficult to not only carry one of these items into first place, but also not lose or use them before a blue shell even appears. For that reason, it's typically not worth the effort to save one of these items for such a long stretch of time. Another method of avoiding blue shells is taking a blue shell with you into first place. The game does not allow multiple blue shells to be in play at once. This means that you'll be safe as long as you can keep one with you. With that being said, it's typically better to hold on to protective items to help you survive against other attacks instead. The same properties apply to all of the items that can be used to dodge blue shells, even when they're on the ground after a lightning strike. You can run into a spare star, mushroom, or any offensive item that's lying around to avoid a blue shell as discussed before. It's worth mentioning that dodging a blue shell using a mushroom this way is extremely situational and difficult, since the timing has to be just right. This final dodging technique is exclusive to 200cc. As long as you can continue to use boost pads, mushrooms, and mini turbos, you can outrun blue shells for a good while. If you can outrun a blue shell for long enough, it will eventually despawn. Tracks with plenty of boost pads, such as Mute City, tend to work best for this strategy. This method doesn't work as well on courses that don't feature many boost pads, since mushrooms and drifting won't last you very long. Next, we'll talk about how to reduce the effect of an impact when taking an unavoidable hit from a blue shell. Tips for both poor and strong first place leads will be covered. This first tip applies no matter if you have a good or bad lead when being targeted by a blue shell. Don't hold an item out behind you as a blue shell strikes. The blue shell will destroy your item and you'll be left with a lack of protection for future attacks. There are several ways to make use of a blue shell explosion when you have a weaker lead. If you're close to other players, try to get them caught in the blue shell explosion too. You can slow down or back up slightly to do this. Just don't give up a decent lead to do this strategy. Otherwise, you might as well just take the hit to stay in or close to first place if you're that far ahead. You can also briefly block shortcuts or faster paths to force players to either get hit by the blue shell too, or take a slower path to avoid the explosion. Lastly, you can get hit near the edge of a cliff or next to a glider ramp. This can potentially knock players off with the secondary spin-out effect of the blue shell blast, causing them to uncontrollably fall off the course. There are a few key ways to keep your momentum when you have a solid lead, even when facing an inescapable blue shell. Attempt to get hit on a forward-moving portion of a track. For example, have a blue shell hit you while on a forward-moving conveyor on Big Blue or a water stream on Wild Woods. Even though the time saved is minimal, any amount counts when preserving a solid first-place lead. Have a blue shell damage you when you're on top of a course obstacle with bouncing properties, such as a tambourine on Music Park, to keep some forward momentum. Be careful though, as bouncing off certain spots of these obstacles is sometimes not enough to get you back on the track due to a lack of speed. Unfortunately, it's a pretty tight timing to successfully bounce in an ideal spot and get back on the course safely. This strategy is quite punishing when done incorrectly, since you need to be carried back on the track if you fail. You can also get hit on or next to either a boost pad or cannon glider. This will ensure a quick return to top speed. Last but not least, attempt to get hit while using a glider when you're not over a pit. If a blue shell hits you while you're gliding, it'll make you spin out the same way a banana would. This means you won't ever come to a full stop after being hit. With all of these blue shell tips and tricks under your belt, you'll certainly be able to go out there and crush the competition. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you found it both educational and useful. If so, consider liking the video, leaving a comment about your favorite blue shell tip or trick, and subscribing for more content just like this in the future. Now I'm off to go play some Mario Kart while relaxing in my undershirt. See you next time.